All right. So here we are. It's so beautiful to be with all of you. And so some of you are live right now, and some of you will be joining later on the recording. This is a time to come together, to land, and to really connect and remember fully all that we have access to, all the support that we can open to, and to allow that to begin to create the transformation that we're desiring. Tonight, as I was tuning in and asking, okay, what wants to come through? What's our focus? What energies are here? Those of you who've been to my office in the last year or so, you know about my little bowl that's actually, let's see if I can turn my chair right there. And there's Bodhi, the little bowl that has all these gorgeous cards made by a colleague of mine, Christina. And they just have like single words or little phrases on them. They're sort of like, she calls them, oh dear, embodiment something. I can't remember the second word, embodiment essence cards. And so I drew one, and I'm going to bring it close so you can see how beautiful it is. Let's see, where's the good view? I think right about there. All of you is welcome here, is what it says. All of you is welcome here in this kind of cosmic looking artwork. And I felt the sense of what happens when we go through life. So as we're moving through life, we have experiences, all different kinds, including ones where certain parts of us actually aren't welcome. You know, something happens when we're a child and someone says, don't be like that. Or we learn that some part of us isn't being embraced by our peers. Or we have an experience where we do something, we sort of try out some part of ourselves and it doesn't go the way we think, and it's upsetting to us, or we feel embarrassed or ashamed. And so little by little, we sort of like hide parts of ourselves, even from our own selves. We forget, or we banish parts of ourselves. Sometimes we never even brought them out in the first place. We didn't even know we had that aspect to ourselves. And so tonight we're going to be working in general around the transformation that helps bring us more fully online. So whenever we're faced with challenges, and we certainly are on a very large scale right now, and certainly as we've talked about in our other meditations, there's a experience of sort of being challenged by bringing up all that wants transformation. When we're in a place of being challenged, the more of ourself, the more of our essence we can bring to the table, the greater possibility we have for moving through that challenge with ease and grace, and to really create the beauty that's possible. And so bringing more of ourselves into acceptance and permission, like including all parts, welcoming all parts of ourselves, is really important. That includes even the parts of ourselves that we may, for one reason or another, think are the not so beautiful parts or the not so glorious parts, because all of us, the exact design is perfect, exactly as we are. And the more we come into the holding of ourselves in that way, the more we know how to be in the world in a way that actually nourishes us. So all of you is welcome here as a part of what we're going to do tonight. Another part that I want to touch on, and it's sort of like very directly connected, and I talked about this experience of what happens, we forget ourselves. And so we're working with the energy of remembrance, remembering our brilliant eternal nature, remembering the soul light that is the eternal part of us that moves through every experience we have, that is untouched and unchanged, and that can inform our experience here like no other. And we've worked with this part in different meditations that we've done. In the remembering today, we're going to be working with this particular type of remembering, and I made a little sticky to make it, and that's remember, as in, whoopsie, the wind wants to blow it, R-E-member, meaning reorganizing, repartnering, moving parts of self around to support us in who we are now, in what's being called for right now. So sometimes in those experiences of our own difficulties in the context of life, and even sometimes in the experiences of great beauty, we forget to actually remember, reorganize to become who we're meant to become, like what those experiences were to create. And so we stay stagnant in a certain idea about who we are, rather than allowing ourselves to be reorganized and to actually become something else, to let life change us. And so we're going to be working with that energy of remembering who we are and reorganizing, remembering. There's two main pieces in this meditation that we're going to support. Actually, I'll change that. Three main pieces. Two main, one little less than main. The first one is that we're going to be working with the energy of permission. So those of you who have been with me for a long time have heard me say some version of the phrase, no permission, no transmission. So in the context of, I see some nods, and in the context of our spiritual awakening, there is so much support on that journey. That support comes from experiences like what you're doing now, where you're coming to your own self and opening to your own self and opening to source, however you conceive of that, opening to your guides and guardians, however you conceive of that, opening to the energy of the co-creation of our togetherness. When we open like that, we begin to allow the transmission of consciousness that supports us. It's like we become more porous, and we can drink in what is supportive to us. We can bring in the nourishment needed for the transformation and awakening at hand. And so we're going to be working with receptivity. How do we open more permission, both from the level of the body and also from the level of the consciousness? We're going to support our meditation tonight using a sacred geometric light emanation. So I'm pretty sure, let me just glance, everyone here has worked with me with the sacred geometric light emanations. If you're on the recording and it's not familiar to you, I'll just give a brief little overview. So when we're working with sacred geometric light emanations, we're working with the combination of intelligent light frequency and form, which is actually the language of creation. It's the language of our biospiritual systems. And so what we're going to be doing tonight is bringing a particular form. This form that we're going to work with is called an ellipsoid. I'm not making it exactly, but it's essentially a sphere elongated over a line that becomes a little bit like a blimp or a football. And we're going to just call one of these in. It's going to be very big around our entire body and energy field with those elongated portions to the left and right of us. And the flame that we're going to invoke, the light emanation, the intelligent light frequency, is the flame of ultimate remembrance. This is about supporting that recollection of who we really are and the reorganizing of self in such a way that allows us to be bringing the fullness of what we need right now to co-create our lives. There's one other little, I said there's a little third. This is a little third. Tonight I'm bringing some gemstone energy medicine into the field, and I'm working with what's called dark green emerine. That looked like you could see that when I held it over my skin. The smaller, lighter colored green is emerald, and the darker colored green is dark green adventurine. Emerald is among many things, it brings energy to physical healing. So we're bringing into the field tonight whatever we need physically. So in this experience of the forgetting of who we are, we make ourselves inadvertently more susceptible to all different kinds of what I'll call outside interference. Those can be cultural ideas, those can be other people's ideas and opinions of us, those can be the energy that happened to be floating around in the field with us, and those things can create disharmony all the way down to the level of our physical body. And so tonight, we're using the dark green emerald to bring support of that remembering all the way to the physical. So if you do have any physical ailments that are wanting support, just allow yourself to kind of bring that forward and just hold the possibility that what we're doing here around this meditation tonight might bring healing there. I'm not going to speak any more about that for tonight, but I will, at some point, I may be moving these in the field, and I may just be sitting with them and transmitting them from my hands. So if you happen to peek and you see me moving my hands around, that's what I'm doing. All right, let's begin. Letting yourself drop in, perhaps even sitting back or laying back more fully into whatever furniture you're with. Let's take 3 cleansing breaths where we very purposefully and intentionally let go of everything that came before this moment, and even all the gobbledygook of the words I said. We're just letting it all go. Coming into this now moment. As you come into this moment, feel yourself softening the jaw and the face, letting the masks of the day begin to melt away. All the roles, all the things that you have been taught you must be, just letting it all melt. The story of who you are from the perspective anywhere outside of you. And just allowing that internal gaze. And as you allow the gaze to become internal, as you soften in, see if the eyes that you're looking inward with can be eyes of compassion, eyes of tenderness, so that you begin to gaze inward at yourself. With eyes of love. If you notice any places where this feels hard, just bring breath and even gentleness and compassion to the way that it might feel hard. Setting the intention, the simplicity of intent here, to begin connecting with your soul self, with the essence of you, with your eternal nature. Feeling that that resides inside the body temple, right through the midline, right through the Sushumna. And as you allow yourself to connect there, you bring breath and presence. And that breath and presence amplifies that light. For each of you here live and on the recording, I'm actually going to be placing the dark green emerine crystals right over your eyes to support a healing in how you see yourself, a healing on that internal gaze. And so begin to allow yourself to open to the energy of the emerine. You'll feel a flow inward that feels like nourishment. And it'll begin to amplify and support you throughout the meditation. As your inward gaze supports this connection to your eternal nature, there may be waves of things that are no longer serving you that just begin to move out. As that happens, you may have sensation. You may even have experiences of something we might call nausea or dizziness or rotation. Just be in the space of allowing, letting there be breath to support you. Perhaps even some subtle movement of the body if it feels needed or beneficial. Bringing your awareness to the area above the top of your head. We're going to support the transformation by opening the portal to the Temple of Divine Perfection. This may be familiar for some of you and it may be new. The portal is about a foot above the top of your head. It's right near where the soul star chakra is. And the portal can be opened with the simplicity of your intention. I almost feel it like a sunroof or what might opening in a car, just going whoop. When it opens, it reveals this beautiful golden stream of light, almost like a golden pathway. And that golden stream, that golden pathway leads up, 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 up to this exquisitely beautiful golden temple of light, which is the energy recycling center in our universe, called the Temple of Divine Perfection. When we open this portal, the things that are no longer serving us, the things that we've absorbed from the world around us that we don't need, etc., they just begin to move up. And so you may feel a sort of whooshing of energy leaving out the top of your head. And this may happen from time to time throughout the meditation. As this portal is opened, it supports the letting go of what doesn't serve, what is complete, particularly old trauma, old personas that are not the truth of who we are, old ways of viewing ourselves with harsh, critical, judging eyes, and all the pain that's accumulated because of that way of viewing oneself. You'll begin to feel a sense of being a little lighter in the body. You may start to feel an opening in some of the energy centers. We're going to bring our awareness and our presence and our breath to the well of dreams, which is a chakra at the base of the skull. And you just begin to allow your breath and your presence to invite a gentle opening there. As it begins to open, you may feel a little pressure or heaviness. Just really moving into the space of allowing. There's no force required. And as we allow the opening there, we'll imagine and sense that that opening links us, almost like a spiritual umbilicus. It links us to our sacred home. And you'll feel when you plug in there what delicious energy starts to flow. And you really allow yourself to be nourished by this connection to your spiritual home. This is the place that your soul returns again and again. You let yourself connect there with the simplicity of intending and opening. And then you allow yourself to become receptive to a transmission of consciousness that flows through that linkage. Giving permission for your mind to be changed, especially the mind that has a story about who you are, that is limiting, the mind that gazes upon you with judgment, criticism, impatience. Giving permission that this transmission from your soul's home just begins to melt and transmute all the places where that is stored in your mind, body, and life. You'll feel sensations, tingles, and waves. You may see energy moving. Sparkles of light. And you'll begin to feel other energy centers spontaneously opening. The throat chakra will open. Allow yourself to begin to receive breath down into the low belly. Beginning to allow these connections to expand downward feeling yourself drawing that soul light, that transmission from your soul home down into the low belly. It'll feel really good as you begin to bring that energy, just with the simplicity of inviting it through intention and breath. It's really that simple. And as that energy begins to move into the low belly, it begins to transform any fears, particularly fears of not enoughness, that have driven those judging, less than tender and compassionate ways that you've related to yourself. Let that fill your whole body on the way down. You'll feel the upper chest, the heart, the upper belly, the upper back, the mid back, all being nourished as you bring that soul light into the low belly, low back, into the pelvic bowl. Giving permission for the transformation, the transmutation, the releasing of old fear patterns that are not supporting your grandest embodiment in this now moment. Really allowing yourself to revel in all the sensations and the beauty that you're touching and noticing. Register the field that we are creating together and how it's amplifying our individual communion. The activation of the sacred principle whenever there are two or more gathered, with the intent to commune with the divine. There's an amplification. Giving yourself permission to rest even more deeply into this now moment. Rest even more deeply into your own body temple. Rest even more deeply into the connections that you've cultivated. And begin to rest more fully into the gravitational pull of the earth, into her embrace. Surrendering yourself into this sacred holding that the earth is doing. These holy electromagnetics, the sacred bond that you have with her body. Let yourself attune to that more completely. Giving permission for her nourishment to support your journey. It's like resting into the arms of beloved. And let your body surrender. Feeling a gentle elongation in the spine. And feeling now that from the top of your head, you're opening up to the grace that's available to support your journey, to support your transforming. The thing is, grace is always available. It simply waits for us to open more fully, to surrender, and to receive. And so the simple intention to open at the crown, to allow yourself to drink in the divine grace. And you'll begin to feel it illuminating you. Maybe it'll be rushing like water, or maybe softly moving like fairy dust on the wind, but you will feel as you open to that grace. You'll feel the support. Giving permission, allowing yourself to be changed in alignment with the divine blueprint. We call forth the flame of ultimate remembrance. The flame that is sparkling and iridescent like a geode, glistening in the sunlight. Whatever color your particular geode is. And we ask that this flame of ultimate remembrance form for each of us a three-dimensional ellipsoid of light, very large around our entire bodies and energy fields, with the elongated portions of the ellipsoid oriented to the left and right, so that this blimp-like, football-like structure comes into form, glistening light like a geode in the sunlight. And it begins to spin on that left to right axis, either forward or backward, or perhaps both at different times. And this spinning, sparkling ellipsoid of light supports you in reorganizing, restructuring, remembering, in support of what your life is calling for right now, in support of the grandest co-creations, in support of opening to the beauty of who you are more completely. As you allow yourself to receive the transmission from this ellipsoid of light, Feel yourself bringing into conscious awareness the things in your life that are desiring transformation, healing, greater wholeness. Just touching them very gently with your awareness, as though to bring them into the field so that this spinning light can work its magic. Including anything at the level of your physical body. You'll feel yourself becoming more and more illumined by the light emanation of ultimate remembrance, that sparkling light. And give permission for transformation and healing on all levels of your being. Be willing to allow, to the extent that you're willing to let go of the stories of who you are, of how your life is, of how your body is. Just be willing to let go and to be reformed, remembered. If it feels right for you, bringing some healing touch to your body, placing your hands perhaps at the heart or the low belly or the mid belly, the head or the neck. Just feel, where does there want to be some healing, loving self-touch? And come to yourself in that touch with a compassion and mercy beyond understanding. Imagine the divine embrace is coming through those hands of yours. And you're holding yourself with so much care. Allowing that divine embrace that's coming through the hands to go to any part of the body that needs healing, physical healing. Feel the compassion beyond understanding, the mercy beyond concept, the love eternal coming through your hands, pouring into your body temple, giving permission for that transmission. Registering, beloveds, that there is so much love, so much light beyond anything you can conceive that is holding you here and in every moment. Begin to allow yourself to become more receptive to that. Even more, let even more in. You might feel like it's going to cause you to explode if you let even more in. Let yourself explode. You're held in a field that will support you in reorganizing and remembering. Let your mind be blown wide open. Let your heart be blown wide open. Let this body temple let go of fear and doubt and not enoughness. As you feel ready, if you feel ready, place your hands just so that the palms of your hands can touch the temples on either side of the eyes. Just for a moment, underneath these hands of great compassion that you're touching yourself with are literal crystalline structures in the brain. We're just intending to allow those structures to also be reformed. When you feel yourself make contact there and you give permission, you can let your hands rest or you can keep them there, whatever feels good. These crystalline structures are like transceivers. They transmit and they receive waveform consciousness. And we're letting them tune and be retuned in support of your journey. Allowing yourself, as you feel ready, if you feel ready, to make a gentle transition. Perhaps you're not, perhaps you need to stay right where you are, and if that's the case, please do so. You might hear Bodhi in the background thumping. He's ready to make a transition. If you are transitioning and it feels right for you, you'd like to turn your video on so we can say a little goodbye and see each other, please do. And if not, that's fine too. So, beloveds, you are all under the wings of my blessings. And I'm holding you in deep care. Next month, instead of doing 2 meditations, we'll do 1. So we're going to skip the 13th, which would be our next date. I'm taking a couple of weeks to just relax a bit. And the next will be on the 27th, Monday, the 27th of July. And so you'll get a little reminder somewhere, either on Facebook or in your email or on a text, however I feel compelled at the moment to remind you, but you'll get a little reminder. Before we complete, is there anything anyone would like to speak of their experience? If it feels like it will support you, you certainly don't need to. Okay. I'm going to unmute you all. How do I do that? Oh, maybe I can't. There was a time when I could. I don't think I can. But if you want to unmute yourself to say goodbye, please do. I don't have the power.
Feel a lot better. Thank you.
Oh, good. I'm so glad. Mwah.
Thank you.
Blessings. You're so welcome. I'll see you all soon.
Bye.